right, my beautiful bean. This is I Love You, Grandma. Little Bear and Grandma were eating breakfast. Grandma asked Little Bear suddenly, "Why do I have such a big nose?" "To help you find food," Grandma said. "But I just looked around and I found these berries," argued Little Bear. "You don't argue, do you?" "No, not my bean." "Ah," replied Grandma, "food isn't always that easy to see." Grandma led Little Bear down to the river. "Can you see anything to eat?" Little Bear shook his head. "Can you smell anything?" Grandma added. "Food," answered Little Bear. "Then use your nose to find it," Grandma told him. Little Bear followed his nose to some stones on the riverbank. He turned one over. "A fish!" he laughed. "Yummy!" "Dinner," smiled Grandma. "Good job, Little Bear." "I love you, Grandma," Little Bear whispered in her ear. "Grandma," asked Little Bear suddenly, "why do I have such sharp claws?" "To help you find food," came the reply. "But you told me I have my nose for that," said Little Bear, surprised. "Ah," said Grandma, "sometimes your nose leads you to food, but you still have to work to get it." She took Little Bear to the woods. "Sniff the air," she reminded him. Little Bear started to follow his nose, and he stopped at a fallen tree. "I can smell food," Little Bear said. "I still can't see it, but I know it's there." "You need to use your claws," Grandma told him. Little Bear dug his sharp claws into the bark. He broke off a small piece. "Ants!" he laughed. "Delicious." Maybe for Little Bear, but not for Ran Ran. "Lunch," smiled Grandma. "Good work, Little Bear." "I love you, Grandma," Little Bear yelled. "Grandma," Little Bear asked suddenly, "why do I have such a long tongue?" "To help you find food," Grandma said at once. "But you told me that I have my nose and my claws to do that," Little Bear asked, surprised. "Sometimes the best food is hard to reach," Grandma told him. She took Little Bear to a clearing. "Smell the air," Grandma said. Little Bear sniffed hard. He lifted his nose. "Food," he told Grandma. A huge bee's nest hung from a branch above him. "I know what to do," Little Bear laughed. "Look at me," he called. He hooked the nest with his sharp claws, lifted it down and opened it up. "Honey," he smiled. Supper," said Grandma. But Little Bear's big claws couldn't reach the food. "So what are you going to do now?" asked Grandma. "Use my long tongue," laughed Little Bear. And that's just what he did. "Brilliant, Little Bear," said Grandma. "How do you know so many things?" Grandma asked Little Bear suddenly. "That's easy," Grandma smiled. "When I was small, I was curious just like you. You ask so many questions, you'll soon know lots of things too." She hugged Little Bear tight. "Do you know I love you, Grandma?" asked Little Bear. "I sure do," said Grandma. She stroked Little Bear's sticky head. "And you know I love you too," she said. The end. I love you, little Nuggie. So big. Until next time. Mwah.